unnecessary pressure, especially on this other individual that's wounded. Oh, there we go. I've just got a very brief glimpse of him. We may be able to get a view of him if I just roll back a bit further. Have a go there, Jean. You got him in there? He's standing up and looking at us now. And also, just their body language that they're displaying to us is one that indicates that they are not entirely happy with these vehicles. Another beautiful big male lion though. Sadly, this is the one that's very badly wounded. And I'm very happy I didn't bump into these guys on foot. Now you'll get an idea of how badly wounded he is as he tries to move. Although he isn't looking as bad as he was when we first saw him. Just get my binoculars out and see if I can take a closer look. Please just keep a very close eye on them as they move and see if you can't see any wounds or scars or sign of what may have caused him to be limping. I'm hoping he is going to continue up towards the other male. There we go. Oh, he is absolutely beautiful. Rubbing his head in this small apple leaf tree as a sign of him picking up the scent of other lion. And he may well scent mark as he passes by this bush. Here he goes. There we go. He's got such a dark mane and coat. His body doesn't look to be in the best condition though. He's a little bit thin, but he's got a remarkable mane. And this looks to me like it could possibly be one of the Seletis males. If any of you do know or have any guesses as who you think it could be, please send through your thoughts and supporting evidence thereof. We're very happy to see that it's not nearly as badly wounded as I thought it was when we saw it initially. Oh, I cannot believe how pretty he is. He's got a massive mane. And I'm guessing what may have caught me off guard is that they were possibly lying down for quite some time before we found them. And when we found them, they were lying down, but when animals get up after having been stationary for quite some time, they can often have a dead leg, where a leg has just gone numb. Looks like more scent marking, so the Birmingham boys have got some news coming their way. It's not just the Matimbas they have to worry about, it's these two males as well. We're very happy that it tended to relax a little bit there, and we're going to now continue up to the other male which looks like he's heading straight in that direction. He's just going to stop and have a small toilet break, so I think that's a good opportunity for us to continue moving. We don't need to see that. Can you believe how awesome this is? 2 unknown male lions. I don't think I've seen them before. I'm very happy, like I say, to see that it's relaxed with the vehicle a little bit. I'm still going to watch its movements very carefully, as that could change. Interestingly, the other male that we did see was just up ahead of us, and he's also slinking off now. This male here is laid down, so we'll get you a few more views of him. Their behavior certainly isn't like what we are used to with lion, even now the way he's really used to. Now, I don't know if my earpiece has broken, which I think is the case, because I'm getting absolutely no comms whatsoever from anyone, even the Game Drive channel, which was probably trying to call me desperately. So I'm going to have to go on to open mic, everyone, so you're going to hear exactly what everyone's saying to me. That's both from the final control room as well as the Game Drive channel.
Yeah, well, it's sort of visual.
Okay, so it's going to be a little bit different now, and you're going to get to hear the different vehicles communicating,
I don't think not just yet.
as well as final control talking to me. Is of the Matimba Coalition, and it could certainly be.
Stations, I'd like to fall into a lineup for...
I'm not entirely sure though, and it certainly is a great suggestion. The Matimba males used to be either 5 or 6 when they initially came into this area, and then 2 males stayed where we are now, which are Hairy Belly and Ginger, as they've been named, and then another 2 have been seen further north of us in the Manyaleti, and it does sound like these 2 males came through Buffelshoek, so from the north, from the Manyaleti side last night. And wouldn't it be incredible if 2 members of the Matimba Coalition, who we haven't seen in this area for the last year, have now realized that they need to come back to help their old coalition partners? Certainly is possible, and thanks very much for sending that possible scenario through, whoever it was. I didn't catch your name, but you know who you are. But certainly not nearly as young as the Birmingham males. Look at that one's mane, it's also absolutely beautiful. His body does seem in slightly better condition to me than the other one that's a bit more relaxed with us. But send us through your thoughts and comments. Which one do you think's bigger? This one that's a little bit more nervous that we saw initially, or the one that was scent marking? And thanks very much, Sherry, for your update, mentioning that the lions didn't appear to be injured when they were on the dam wall. So, like I said, it's probably the fact that they've just been sleeping probably for over an hour by the time we found them. And sometimes I wake up with a dead arm. I sleep with my arms under my pillow, and I think the lion had the same problem. and it just woke up, and its back right leg had obviously no blood circulation to it in the position it was lying in, and that's why it was hopping on 3 legs. So happily to be able to confirm that were actually seen with no limps on the dam wall, just as we're seeing them now. But one thing that hasn't changed is their nervous behavior, and I really am loving seeing these lions that are acting a little bit more wild and untamed to what we are used to.
What is the game plan if the lions charge and jump on the vehicle? Strange from
And Trent in Fiji has just brought up a very good point. What would happen if the lions did in fact charge and jump onto the vehicle? Well, that would probably be the end of Gendre and myself's career here on Safari Live. I don't think it would take very long for them to finish us off, and I think even a gentle tap from one of these big boys would send our heads rolling. But it's a very, very unlikely scenario, Trent. And like most animals, and what most animals will do, is they will give you initial warning signs. And we know really different as humans. It's unlikely that you'll be walking down the street and somebody will walk up to you and wallop you without any kind of a warning. There's a lot of body language and a lot of different steps that are taken before most animals, including us, come to blows. And as soon as I saw that one male had really flattened himself in the grass, I stopped the vehicle immediately and then continued to monitor his behavior. And if we had have seen his tail flicking from side to side, that would have indicated to me that he was very unhappy. If we didn't take heed to those warnings and drove closer to him when his tail was flicking, then he could very well charge the vehicle. But I think even an initial charge would just be him establishing that he's really unhappy. And it would take a lot of antagonizing and lack of reading his signals for him to commit to a full charge onto this vehicle. Even though Gendre and myself are two very small beings when being compared to large lions like this, we're on a very large vehicle, and it will see us kind of as a team. So it will be able to know that we are individuals on this vehicle, but the fact that we do have this very large vehicle that we kind of are an extension of helps us greatly. And animals will think twice before attacking a being of this size. If, like you did say though, they did jump onto the vehicle, there wouldn't be too much we could do, Trent. I would probably try and open my Leatherman, which is a small multi-tool pocket knife with pliers and a few small blades on it. But that would, in all likelihood, be a futile attempt. I'm looking at Gendre, wondering what he would do. And Gendre said he would pull out the machete, which we have tucked behind my seat, which we have for chopping down branches or trees that are falling down in the roads. Not a bad option, Gendre, and actually, now that you've said that, I'm going to rearrange my water bottle so I have easier access to it. There we go. Trent, you've put the fear of these lions attacking me into full swing here, so now I've got the machete ready. I'll maybe leave it on the dashboard here for quick release. But if I did worry, Trent, and I was hugely concerned, I would have moved out of the area. There we go. Thanks, Gendre, for your good idea there. So we've got the machete ready. It's very unlikely that we will use it though, but just in case, at least we are a little bit more geared up for the unlikely event of these lions giving us any trouble. So by giving them time to relax and just creeping forward a few meters at a time, I'm thinking we are going to slowly win them over.
Size-wise, how do they rate against the Matimbas and the Birmingham?
So, another great questions come through on a topic that I haven't touched on, and Dr. Debbie is interested to know, how do I think these two boys compare size-wise compared to the Matimba males as well as the Birmingham males? Well, in terms of mane size, it's clear that these guys are really in great condition, and I think have equal, if not more impressive manes than the Matimba males. The Birmingham males don't have manes to compete with these older boys just yet. In terms of body size, though, it's very difficult for me to say, Dr. Debbie. It's been quite some time since I did see the Matimba males, and I would only be confident to be able to compare size if they were actually next to one another. But I would put them on a par with those Matimbas and say they are very equally just want to look closely as he walks there. There's a little bit of a limp there, but nothing too serious. But yeah, I think they very equally matched, the Matimbas and these boys. Just going to get onto the Game Drive channel and ask Ephraim for an update on how that other male's doing and what he's up to. Ephraim for Scott. If you still got a visual of that other male there?
Where?
Okay, where is he?
They're on the western side. You give me, I'm stopping here on the western side there, between the three marula there, in the middle of the three marula.
Okay, copy, perfect, thank you. So the other male isn't too far away, and I think we can just reposition ever so slightly. The individual we're looking at now has got himself into a position where we can, in fact, see that other male and all like this. So I just want to click for a little bit and see if we get views of both of them. Believe it. You can just see that other male. Whenever he sees us, he gets up and moves. The other vehicles are positioned even closer than we are, but he seems to be relaxed with them. So obviously either Gendre's mane or my mane are intimidating them, and both Gendre and I have got very dark manes, not quite as large as the lions, but obviously color plays an important role. I'm only kidding, hard to tell what it is. There is actually another vehicle that arrived into the sighting as we moved in, so I don't think it is just necessarily us. Texans just joined the sighting as a third vehicle, and it could just be that these lions don't see too many people. And isn't it wonderful that we are part of an ecosystem where a lot of the animals will have very, very little contact with humans and all vehicles, and there are some massive parts of the Kruger National Park where there's no road access, and that's what causes very brief or limited sightings of them. And with very brief or limited sightings of these animals, it's very difficult to habituate them, and you can expect them not to be very habituated or relaxed with the vehicles. Good news is, though, the individual on our left seems to be quite relaxed, so we're going to send you over to him shortly. And not the best view for now, but at least you can see he is nice and close, and he is very relaxed with us. And And I just want to give it a few moments before we do reposition. And while we wait, I can answer another question. I'm not sure who it was sent through by, but Lawrence or Florence, thank you for sending it, and you'll know who you are. The question was whether or not the Matimba males would recognize these two males if they were in fact also old Matimba coalition. And most certainly, even though they may have not seen one another for many years, they will certainly be able to recognize and remember one another. And it'll be a huge twist in the tail if it is in fact a reunion of four males who used to be dominant together in this time of desperation, because the current two Matimba males have clearly stood down to the Birmingham males of 5, but 4 of these big boys against 5 of the younger Birminghams will be a very, very interesting battle, and I think one that the Birmingham boys will possibly consider or reconsider. I think this male is beginning to get a bit lonely and wanting to keep up with the other male. So we could find that he gets up shortly and heads off after his partner. Okay, so I just want to try and move the vehicle a little bit further forward in case he does get up. And he seems to be completely relaxed with us now, so I don't think we're going to cause any trouble for him. If he does get up, I think it's simply to catch up with one other coalition member that's moved further up towards the Djuma waterhole. Arcadia has just brought up a good point, asking whether this could possibly be the Majingalan coalition, but it's unlikely, Arcadia. I think that these males have come from the Manyaleti Reserve to the north of us, and the Majingalan coalition is more prevalent in the south of the Sabi Sands, so not north of us, not into the Manyaleti, but rather in the southern Sabi Sands is where the Majingalani coalition do their business. They do head up to Arethusa every now and then, the southern portions of Arethusa, and that's as far north as they usually come. And their territory, coupled with the fact that these lions are clearly not relaxed with the vehicles, will make me lean strongly towards them coming from either Manyaleti or even possibly further north and east into the Kruger National Park.
Queries from Santa Ana. Scott, can their nervousness also be their awareness of other coalitions that might come into the area? Terry, Santa Ana.
Ah, very good point, Terry in Santa Ana. And Terry said that could their nervous behavior not be attributed to the fact that they are in unfamiliar territory? And I think yes, their awareness and nervousness could be attributed to that, but only ever so slightly. And usually what I've found is that when any of the animals out here are nervous or in dispute with other members of their same species, they'll take very little heed to our presence. So we're in a very different genre to that of male lions that they are competing with. And I don't think it's entirely the reason why they are nervous of us. I think it's simply because they've been exposed to very few vehicles in their life. But they will no doubt be on high alert as they are in this unknown area. But the fact that we saw that individual scent marking earlier is a good sign that they are not hugely concerned. Alexandra is just trying to dodge the viewers, the guests on that vehicle at all costs. We try not to show people, as they may not be too happy with being sent on a live feed across the world. So that's... I just saw something running off down there. I don't know if it was the lion or why it was running. Oh, it's a waterbuck. Okay, Jean said he saw a waterbuck running off. So maybe that other male tried to chase down the waterbuck. Maybe the waterbuck just bumped into the lion and got a fright and ran off. So now we're just going to try and wiggle our way through. It's quite thick here, so I'm going to try and take the path of least resistance and loop around to get us into a good spot. Just be patient for a couple of seconds and we can all take a few deep breaths as we regroup after all this excitement. Sleeping last night. And we're also very close still to the Djuma waterhole, probably only 100 meters. It's just down to our right. Where have the lions gone? Can't see any sign of them just yet, but I'm not concerned that we've lost them. I'm sure they're going to pop out at any moment. But the way that one flattened itself in the grass earlier means that we just have to take it slowly because they may be closer than we expect them to be. Taxa, have you still got a visual of them? Just got a glimpse of one now that's just got up and started moving again. Copy, thanks. I've just got one now, slowly mobile, kind of back towards you, I think.
Okay. Yes, thanks. I'm a little bit just to the south of Angus Car.
Tricky business, this.
Into that other block there.
And
Okay, copy.
what I'm going to do is just leave Texan to keep a close eye on them here. And we're going to go all the way around. I really don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on them. I don't think we're going to see any huge amounts of action here. Obviously we do want to show them to you, but we also don't want to keep disturbing them so that they have an unpleasant morning. So I'm going to certainly be factoring that into our occasion and try and be as sensitive as possible so that they can get some probably much needed rest. Craig is also making his way in towards this sighting. So let's just stay in comms with Texan and Craig, give them both some time and space. We've had such great views of them, even though they've been brief, that it's time for us to just do a loop around. They are slowly moving and it sounds like they could pop out close to where we're going.
Big the link to James for a quick update and I'll be back.
Okay, well, time for you guys to jump on board James's vehicle to see how his morning is coming along, and we will be back with you guys shortly.
Yeah. Hello everybody, eerie grey morning, and I've just found what I've been looking for, a track of a lioness here on Mvubu Road heading to the south. We're going to carry on down here. I think this is very interesting. It's not impossible that this is actually a male. I can't see from the unclear track, and it's possible that these tracks are of the males that Scott and you have been looking at. But I'm going to drive down this road and just see. This is the first track that I found the whole day, which is rather exciting. I hope you've been enjoying those males with Scott. I'm really fascinated to know who they might be, how old they are, how big they are, how impressive they perhaps are, and where on earth they've come from. The abiding mystery of the lions of Djuma. There's a beautiful, beautiful black-crowned chagra there. I'm just going to see if he sits for us long enough. Remember, oh, you nasty little, what you might call it. I nearly said a bad word there, Brian. Did you notice? That is a beautiful black-crowned chagra. I'm going to quickly show you a picture, mainly because I want to sit and listen here quickly. A chagra is a shrike of sorts, and make it a beautiful call. That one goes. There he is there. Ah, there. That one there. That's Ephraim, you can hear in front of us. We'll just go and quickly chat to him. I hope I'm not in the way of their sighting. That is the black-crowned chagra. John, tinggal nanti kui. Tidak kaenga, okay. Kunang konsola. I'm sure ya wanan one gas kumbe wanuna kumbe one side.
Aku wanu aku boleh tinggal di.
Okay.
Kalau kita ini dia di.
Orang le ti one side atau punang.
Nanti mana?
Okay.
Tidak bisa ada.
Okay. Let's see.
Bye.
Bye. So everybody, that's Ephraim, and Ephraim is working at Cheetah Plains. Well, actually he's on Djuma at the moment, but he does work for Cheetah Plains, and he is just confirming that he does think those tracks that we were on here are of those males that Scott's got. Anyway, we're going to carry on. Nobody has found tracks of the females from last night, so we're going to keep looking for them. Dr. Debbie, I'm not laughing at your question, I'm laughing at it because I think it's quite astute. You say, does this sort of fairly foul weather affect the animals in any way, affect their behavior? Definitely it does, there's no question. But you've also asked, does it make them depressed? I don't know if it makes them depressed, and certainly after a few days of this I start to become a little morose about camp, but yeah, I don't think it makes them necessarily depressed, but I don't see why it wouldn't affect them in the same way that it does us. That the sun and the lovely sort of vitamin D that we get from our African sun probably does make them a little more cheerful than it would on a day like today. How it does affect their behavior, of course, though, is that because it's a little bit blowy, a little bit blustery, what the animals will do is try to stay in an area that is warm, A, and B, doesn't compromise their ability to see predators. So it's not a great idea to be in very thick bush or in sort of thicket areas on ridge crests like this, because you then can't hear or smell what's coming to get you because of the wind and the noise that the wind makes. That said, some of the animals will go into the drainage lines, into the thickest bush. Things like rhino, for example, they don't like the wind on their skin elephants often do the same sort of thing. They go off into the thick bush where, I mean, they're not so affected by predators, so they don't worry too much about it, and they will go into the thicker bush where it's a bit warmer, and down into the drainage lines where the wind, where they're sheltered from the wind. Very nice question. Thank you, Dr. Debbie. I'm not sure how much depression it creates in them, but certainly we all know how it affects us. Grey weather generally doesn't make us that cheerful. It makes me cheerful for the first day of it, especially after we've had some very hot weather, and I quite like 1 or 2 days of grey, but after that it does make me a little bit edgy. You, Brian, do you like the grey?
Depends.
Depends.
Depends on who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. But Dr. Debbie, it's very important that we're not ungrateful for it out here, because of course it can get very, very hot out here indeed for extended periods. So while it's a little bit chilly, it's a good idea to appreciate every moment of it.
Especially the lack of flies.
Especially the lack of flies, yes. That's a very good point. And all around, the little signs of spring continue to spring up, and especially now, I'm just going to try and find you one. I've driven past 3 or 4, hoping to find another one while I was waffling on. There we go. And this lovely bush here started sprouting yesterday, I think. Many of them, Flugia verosa, or the white berry bush. No white berries on it at the moment, of course. Those will come in summer. Quite delicious sort of sweet pea tasting berries, which are of course white in colour. Lovely, lovely white berry bushes are starting to sprout all over the place. But our general plan at the moment, people, is to see if we can find tracks of those females, and if we can't, we'll head in the general direction of the hyena den and see what we can pick up there. We unfortunately think they may have moved that den. Now, just to keep you updated, Scott is trying to reposition around those lions. As you know, they are nervous, and I think the bush that they've gone into is pretty thick. And Dr. Debbie, you were asking about weather and whether it will affect them. I'm sure those lions will happily go into thick bush, A, because they're nervous, and B, perhaps to get away from the pressure of being a hounded male lion. Why they're injured, who knows. How they were injured, don't know. But what is interesting, and I'm sure Scott's talked about this, is the fact that they were roaring this morning. And yeah, very interesting to know why they were roaring if they are under threat. Jennifer in Toronto, I'm not sure if your question is slightly facetious. It's definitely very funny. You want to know if we get crows in South Africa? Jennifer, we definitely get crows in South Africa, a few of them. The one species that we find in this particular area is called the pied crow. Not a particularly attractive bird, a very unattractive call. Typical sort of crows call. Straighter than other birds. Jennifer? No, I don't think they do, you know. I don't think they fly any straighter than a vulture, for example. Possibly. There is a beautiful smell around here. Brian, is it breakfast being cooked in the camp, or is it it's a flowery smell?
Flower.
It's absolutely delightful. You know, I think it's a gardenia. I've seen a gardenia around here. 1 second, everyone. I'm just going to reverse quickly. Oh, it's nice. That is magnificent. Let me just go back here and see if I can't find a white gardenia flower. The thing is that they only flower for about 4 days of the year, and then the flowers die, and that magnificent smell is lost to us for the rest of the year. even feel sorry for him. See if I can find it. What a windy road. Driving backwards on. Brian, can you see any gardenias? Identifiable by the huge white flowers. I've seen one around here somewhere. I can't see any gardenias. There's definitely one around here that is giving off the most magnificent smell. It smells a little bit sort of, I guess, like jasmine. It's strong though, eh? Oh, wonderful. I'll actually be in the camp. We're quite close to Gallagher camp. It's possible that it's actually in the camp. Excuse me. Got another frog in my throat. What with it being summer and all that. Right. Can't even track down a gardenia which doesn't even move. Right, so we're now up towards the Gallagher waterhole. I'm not sure if anyone's checked here today, and I mean, it's not unusual for us to find the Nkahuma Pride lying around here somewhere, especially as their track seems to have completely disappeared. North into Buffelshoek. They turned on, they came back south, but they didn't come back onto Djuma. So I'm not sure where they are. But Tula, no, I don't think they killed. As far as we know, they didn't. No lions here. So last sighting, just to keep you updated on the lions, and a question from Clay about where our Matimbas, or the old Djuma Matimbas, are. They're on Londolozi at the moment, on the eastern side of Londolozi, which borders Mala Mala, and they are, apparently they killed a buffalo, and they were eating a buffalo recently, two of them together. They're known as the Clarendon males at Mala Mala, and I'm not sure what they call them at Londo's, but that's where they are now, being hounded from the north by the Birmingham boys. Now who these other two are, they might be the Matimba's brothers, of course, from the original Matimba coalition of 4, and maybe they'll join up again. Now that would be very exciting. If those two down south heard their erstwhile colleagues shouting up here, they might come back north, and then I think the Birmingham boys would be in for a bit of a ride. Still no further lion tracks in this particular area. Oh, they're frustrating. It's starting to spittle a little bit, Brian. Do you think that is the universe spittling upon us, or do you think it is a African blessing of rain?
Potentially both.
Potentially both, yes. I don't think it's going to rain very hard, but as Brian did say, there was a slight shower predicted today, and we're certainly receiving a very slight shower as we speak. You may have noticed also that I have lost some height since you last saw me. It is not because I have become aged and decrepit, but because I have had to remove one of the blankets from underneath me and put it over me because it's a little bit chilly this morning. I have to sit on a tower of blankets, otherwise I am invisible to the camera. Great and abiding mystery as to where these lions have gone. We're going to go and pop into the hyena den and just have a quick look there. Of course, the other thing is that if lions are moving quickly on a day like this, they're not easy to track because the sun doesn't shine, obviously, at all, and so you don't get the angle, the correct angle shining on the road, and so it becomes quite difficult to see tracks. So it's not impossible to miss them. They are still trying to find those males again, everybody, so don't worry about that. Sunbirds. Alrighty, we're going to nip across the spot. He's got the lions again, and I will hopefully see you with some others. Otherwise, another wonder of the African wilderness. See you just now.
Welcome back, everyone. And we've just managed to get another visual of them, and what a perfect time it is. Because as you can see, the one male here is continuing to scent mark. So these males have come here, not flying below the radar, but with intentions of letting other male lions know that they consider themselves a force to be reckoned with. And we are sure in store for some very interesting lion behavior. Who would have thought it would have got more exciting or interesting than it currently is? Just with the Birmingham males. But now two of these other males have just come onto the scene. It's not the best view, but there is a small gap where I can see both of the lions, one of which is lying down, the other one is just off to his right. Oh, but there they go. Got a brief glimpse of one still there. But this may be the end of our sighting with them for now. It's going to be very tricky to follow them further down into the Mulwati riverbed. But there is one spot where we can go and check. So we'll go around there. And while you were across with James, I did ask Craig and Texan if they knew or had any ideas as to which lion these could be, and they're not too sure. Craig seems to think that it's the same two males that chased Junior, the young male from the Nkahuma pride, off a buffalo kill in Buffalo's Hook about a week or so ago, but nobody's exactly sure who they are. And I'm sure we will be able to work out who they are, but for now I just think it's so exciting that we don't know. There's a bit of drizzle beginning to fall down on us, so Jean-Jacques is going to have to try his best to cover up the camera, and there may be some moisture build-up on the screen that we'll have to wipe every now and then, but it's certainly not heavy enough to make us close down the safari, so don't worry about that. I'm hoping we are going to get another glimpse of these males, but I feel that this area is just a bit too thick and their behavior is not exactly welcoming, so we don't want to cause them any unnecessary stress or discomfort. But I do just want to have one last try at getting you another visual of them. going to get on the radio quickly and just give Craig another update. Craig, they headed down into the Mulwati directly between where you and I were, where you came out there. I've just taken this little 2-track that leads down into the Mulwati, but I feel it's a little bit further south of where they're going to be. Copy that. Everyone needs to hold on quite tight here. We're going down a steep drop. No negative, I lost visual of them heading down into the water. It's too thick to follow them, and I would nervous that I don't want to put too much pressure on them. No boat. There's something quite interesting that we can just stop and look at, and it's helmets and guinea fowl who are digging through a big pile of elephant dung looking for breakfast. Charming. They are such pretty birds with those bright blue heads and little spotted feathers. And I'm told that some of you were enjoying an elephant sighting here with Jamie just 2 days ago. So it's 2-day-old elephant dung that they're sifting through, and they'll be looking for vegetable matter as well as little insects that will be beginning to further feed on and break down that ellie dung. They all look quite alert all of a sudden, so I'm not too sure if there's a bird of prey nearby or what's got them nervous. Okay, let's keep going. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer to where I saw these lines. It's further up where we are here. We've mentioned that this could be 2 members of the Northern Matimba Coalition, and Jan and Skoog are interested to know how would they have got the message that they need to come and help if it is in fact them. And purely through vocalizations and audio, even our ears can hear lions calling from about 9 kilometers away, which is roughly 6 miles, and that's our terrible hearing, so you can imagine how far they can probably hear one another from. A lot further than that. Come on, there we go. Well done, car. These vehicles are incredible where they can take us. So I think it's purely through vocalizations, audio of what's been going on, all the sounds that they would have heard. Having arrived here now, though, they may have smelt a lot of scent marks of the Birmingham males, possibly of their coalition. And from those scent marks they can read into a lot of the news and behavior of what exactly has been going on with the lions. Good news, we've got extremely lucky and managed to relocate them. Craig, I have relocated. I'm not sure your best access, but we are in the Mulwati, basically directly west of where you saw me. Sorry, east of where you saw me. And it's not one, but actually both of them. The other one you can see his head twitching in the background. Yeah, you either going to have to, yeah, I think it's going to be too thick for you to get in from there. There's a 2-track that runs into the Mawati, which is how I got here, but I had to cross the drainage a few times, and I don't think your limousine will be able to handle that. Yeah, you can certainly try that. I don't think the view is going to get much better than where we are now. I don't want to be moving around too much though. Both appear to have relaxed. Look at how beautiful he is. Sure. Still very alert, aware, head up, listening. Sadly, we've got no... The 2 Matimba males were quite far south of where we are now, south of the Sand River, and they had a buffalo kill that they were busy feeding on. Yesterday, they still had a large amount of it remaining, and I'm guessing they could still be there. But it would be wonderful to know, where are the Nkuhumas? Have they reunited with the whole pride? There was 2 different bunches, one of 3 lioness last night, and other 2 lioness, and the young male were seen to the west of us on Arathusa and Sibambili. He certainly does have something wrong with his hip. It's not just a dead leg, but I think it warms up as he gets going. There's the other male moving off in the background, you may have got a glimpse of. And we've just got a great update through from Blair saying that the Seletis males, one of them has got a lower left canine that is broken and or missing. Now sadly, I haven't seen the canines of the more nervous individuals, but certainly the more relaxed one did let off a little yawn and saw that all of the canines were in working order. So we just need to see the other one, and then if they both do have good teeth, well then we know it's not the Seletis males. About 50-50, I'm told. Some think the Matimbas, others think Seletis, and by Matimbas I mean the northern Matimbas, not the 2 regular ones we're used to seeing. We've got lucky and got into another position where we've got a little bit of a view of the male, one of them at least. Beautiful low angle. Pity there's a few bushes in the way, but we're kind of sitting eye level with them now, which is a great angle we don't often get to show you. Jennifer and Fenton's interested to know, which direction are they heading in? Are they heading back towards the waterhole? At the moment, no, I don't think so. Their last little bit of movements, there's Craig, we're directly between you and the Mawati now. Sorry, I was just letting Craig know that he's nearby. And basically their last direction of movement, Jen, was south from where they were lying down, so actually away from the Djuma waterhole. So sadly, I don't think we'll get there anytime soon. I think we are going to have our work cut out for us trying to find these boys this afternoon, because I think they are going to move during this very cloud. Oh, wonderful, there's another one pacing past. I'd love to know exactly what it is that's causing them to move around as they are. But like some of you said earlier, they are going to be nervous of themselves and inquisitive as to all the new smells and sights and scenes that they are being exposed to. There goes Craig in the background trying to get his way in here, but in his long vehicle he's not having much luck, sadly. And back to the kind of injury or problem with the back left leg of this one male, the more relaxed one. Remay and Nancy have both pointed out that there doesn't appear to be quite enough muscle on that back left leg. It looks a little bit underdeveloped or weakened, and I completely agree. I wonder what's caused that. There might be some kind of very slight paralysis to that back left leg. That's why the muscle isn't generating and why it kind of hobbles ever so slightly. That's just a complete guess off the top of my head, but there certainly does appear to be some kind of a problem, and I completely agree with you guys. That back left leg looks a little bit bony, and I don't think it's anything to be too concerned about though. And if an animal has a very slight limp, it is often not going to be a huge concern for that individual, and when the time comes to operate, be it hunting or fighting, you'll probably have no idea that there is that slight injury there. Can you see where that other one went, Sean? No. So we don't have the best view here. We can't go forward much. So I'm wondering if we should go back or try and go forward a little bit more. Let's try and go forward a little bit more. I did have a faint glimpse of the other individual, and I think we might go back to that shortly, but let's just enjoy a few views here, and then we'll try and get a view of the other one, which is just lying off a little bit further back in the bush. No, apologies for the lack of picture, but it should pop back anytime shortly. And Cindy's just asked another good question that we haven't touched on yet, and that is whether or not I think these male lions could be responsible for killing some of the lioness that have been attacked over the last few weeks and months. And most certainly a new coalition coming in, be it the Birminghams or these two males, any new coalition will very often kill lioness as they come in marauding through any area. But I think most of the animals that have been killed have, or lioness rather,
James, just to let you know that
have actually been apologies, just the radios all of a sudden started coming through here, which is strange. There we go, that's the problem. As I was saying, that most of the lioness that have been killed have been people have been relatively sure that it's either been the Birmingham males that were involved in the fights or the Djuma timber males. So I don't think that any of the lioness that we know of that have been killed have been caught up by these boys. But it's not to say it won't happen or that it's abnormal for it to happen. So we mustn't be too hard on the Birmingham boys as they kill the lioness. It's obviously the last thing any of us want, but it's fairly typical behavior of any coalition coming into an area. Let's see if we can go back a little bit and get you a view of the other one.
They are between Tundam and Milwaukee, south of Wahlberg's Road. Space 2.
Welcome back, everyone. Sort this problem out. Okay, I think the solution is just going to be to turn off the game drive channel. And look at those eyes staring back at us. It's going to be a scary process trying to find these boys on foot if they have moved from here this afternoon. That's for certain, as there is a strong chance that, especially in this thick bush, they may let off a rumbling growl as you approach too close to them on foot. But interestingly enough, a lot of the time, even the most nervous of lions, being nervous of vehicles and humans, will run when they see us on foot. But in thick bush and windy weather like this, you can startle animals, and it's when you startle them that they sometimes feel the need that attacking is their best solution. But most of the time they will flee. Now, I'm guessing that this earpiece may have broken, or I'm not sure, Jean, you can't... no, we're good. And Renna has asked a question, and she's interested to know, because these boys are nomads, could they hook up with the Nkuhuma pride? And I certainly think that they could well spend time with the Nkuhuma pride going forward, but they are by no means nomads. Just because we have not seen them before does not make them nomadic. they may just be planning on extending their current territory into this area from the north, which is, I'm guessing, where they've come from. And on top of that, they're not going to only spend time with any one pride of lioness. That is uncommon, and what's more common is for lions to have multiple prides within their very large territory. And male lions, just like male leopards, will acquire very large pieces of land relative to the females of their species. And two males like this could quite easily cater for and service 3 or 4 or 5 different prides of lioness. And they won't stay with any given one, because they need to maintain their territory and mark their territory, make sure no other lions are sneaking in, and that's a full-time job, moving around, making sure there's no intruders. And as they move around monitoring their territory, they will also be making sure that all of the lioness are okay, and more importantly, if any of those lioness are actually in season, so that they can mate with them. So most of the time males will actually be alone or with other males of their coalition, and not necessarily with the females, unless there's good opportunities for mating and or an easy meal. The males will typically be off continuing to monitor their territory. But I certainly do think that these males could create a presence here and become locals, and if they do, then the Nkuhuma pride will naturally slot into their territory. I think I'm going to move back forward into the other position. The one lion has got his head back up, and we don't have the best view of this other individual from here. So let's just reposition ever so slightly. One last view of this male peering down at us, and aren't we so fortunate to have been able to spend time with them this morning. The good news is that James is desperately wanting you guys to all jump onto his vehicle, and he's found you something else that may be very exciting. So enjoy, and we'll be here when you get back.
Welcome back to Jigger, everybody. We have found you a termite mound, and on that termite mound is a knobthorn tree, which is very exciting. Wonderfully exciting sighting of a knobthorn tree, and we're just going to tilt down towards the roots of the knobthorn tree, and there, in fact, he's gone. There was a leopard there, everyone. He's gone. There was a leopard there, I promise. I promise you there was a leopard there. He's put his head down. It's young Madiba, and there he is. You can see his right eye peeping up over the top of the termite mound. I thought I'd gone insane there for a second. Anyway, he is doing exactly as he normally does, as his mother normally does. They love to sit on termite mounds, and you can see he's hunkering down there in the thickness of the grass and the sort of scraggly bushes up top in order to shelter himself from the rain, but at the same time give him a nice vantage point. So if you do see a couple of droplets on the lens on your screen, that is a function, I'm afraid, of the fact that we are now parked basically in a cloud that has sat on the low veld. Excellent sighting of the top third of his head and his right ear. And I'm afraid I don't know that we can get a better view, say, short of driving up the termite mound, which I don't think is a particularly intelligent way of doing things, but at least we do have a view of him. Magnificent little fellow that he is. And he'll be constantly up and looking around the place. He was not far from here last night, watching the lions and trying to attack the buffalo. And of course that would have been interesting and slightly scary experience for him, I'm sure. He would have been a bit nervous and very aware of where those lions were. I do find it quite interesting though. I don't know where Shadow is. I don't know where she left him. But the last time we saw her with him was a long way from here, you know. She was way down towards the Arathusa airstrip, which is a long way south of where we are now. I don't know if he's moving or just gone to sleep. He'll roll forward. There he is. He's stuck his little head up again. He's not going anywhere. I think he's going to remain there for much of the day. Now, you can imagine how many people he's watched drive past him today. The main road into one of the main access roads into the reserve is just behind where he's sitting now, and you can imagine how many people would have driven past him without seeing him. I've learned to actually find his outline specifically from him, because he looks like a leopard, of course, but he sits on termite mounds a lot, and so I look at termite mounds whenever he's around an area, and you just look for the shape of those ears sticking up over the vegetation. That's how I spotted him earlier today. Although he was found, we did know, in the general vicinity. It's a spectacular sighting of 2 spots now. So the termite mound, as you saw, is pretty high. It's probably about, well, at its tallest point off the ground, probably at about 3.5 meters, maybe. You can see the road there, and it extends halfway to the road in the background, underneath the car, and another sort of 10 meters off to the right hand side of where I am. It is a massive underground construction that where you can see everywhere where it's clear, where the grass is green there, that was once part of this termite mound. And so you can see the millions and millions of termites of the species Macrotermes natalensis that would have been living and going through their astonishing life cycles in this spot where this young leopard now finds himself sitting. We might try one more attempt at a relocation. Brian, should we go back again slightly, or do you think this is about as good as it's going to get?
I think this is as good as we're going to get.
Maybe I could just go around the side and click, you know, toss a stone at him, see if he doesn't lift his head.
You could try and tweak his tail.
I could. I can't even see him in there. Anyway, I don't know where his mother is, like I say. She has been, he's just been moving further and further away from her, which of course is very early for him to be doing that as a young male leopard. But, like I have said a few times before, I have yet to see this leopard thin. I've yet to see him without a meal in his belly. So I think regardless of whether she's helping him or not, he is managing to feed himself, and that's wonderful. It's a spectacular sighting, Brian. Yeah, great stuff. I'm going to try and just do a little leap around the side, just for the sake of trying it. and of course because when I start the engine going to get hold of Scott. He's struggling to talk to Nikki, as you know, on the on the comments from our final control. So I'm going to hail him on the game drive radio, and then you can go back and have a look at him. Scott, you copy Scott? Hole here out of which a warthog might shoot. Scott, do you copy Scott? No, I'm afraid we're not going to get a great view of this. Scott is not copying us or the final control at the moment. So we're just going to try and get an update about on those lines from him, and then we'll nip back to him. So I'm going to do a turnaround here. Apparently Scott also doesn't have a picture at the moment, so you're going to stay with me in this spectacular leopard sighting that we have here of one ear. Mine, we can't even see an ear anymore. I'm tempted to use the hooter. Maybe we should just continue and come back later, see if we can see him. Everybody, I think we're going to move on from this magnificent leopard sighting. We'll just drive around. We don't have long left of drive, so we'll just drive around for a little while and see what we can see, and I will continue to try and get hold of Scott. I think he is still trying to find those lions or stay around them. I'm not sure exactly, but let's just keep driving for the next little while. Bye-bye, Madiba / Sandila. Thanks very much for that spectacular look at your top ear. Got him. Now Sharon, you're not asking about leopard, and that's because we could hardly see him, but that spectacular mound, you say how many years for it to get that big? Sharon, I don't know exactly, but I'd say at least 100. At least 100 years of continuous occupation, so the Queen would probably have been replaced many times. The Queen can live about 15 years, so she would have been replaced many times for that mound to have got that big. I mean, it really is astonishing. When you come, I don't think you get quite this full picture of it on the screen, but we get, you see the mound coming out of the ground, but when you actually look down and see the extent to which it goes, and I mean, I'm sure over the course of the years it's probably eroded down as well, so I mean a huge amount more sand and soil has been piled up onto it than you can actually see now over the many years, but I think at least 100 years, Sharon. You can see now the light has dropped. That I don't think has anything to do with the solar eclipse, partial or otherwise, that's been going on. I think it's purely to do with the fact that we are now basically parked in a cloud. Goodbye, Madiba. Now, I mean, he is going to be passed by at least 100 cars today. None of them are going to have any idea that he was there. Ooh! Brian! There's quite a lot of rain. Please excuse the spots, everybody. That is Brian trying to protect the lens.
Not working very well.
It's not working very well. Difficult in a squall like this. suppose I should enjoy this weather, what with my Scottish roots, but I think this is probably why my ancestors moved to South Africa, to escape such weather. Alright, we've got good news. Scott is back sort of online-ish maybe. We're going to leave you and thank you very much for all of your comments and questions today on an interesting drive, mysterious lions and wonderful elephants, and at the end lovely Sindila. Thank you Brian very much, thank you the thumb, and a big thank you to Nikki and Tara in the final control, and of course to Scott, to whom we are going to link again with Jandre. See you later everybody on the afternoon safari, hopefully with better weather, and stay safe wherever you are. See you later. Bye bye.
Welcome back everyone, and it sounds like Sindila is teasing everyone this morning. I heard Taxon leaving the sighting and he was disgusted by the fact that all he could see was the leopard's ears on that massive termite mound, and it certainly has been an interesting morning with the big cats, and happy that you did get to see a glimpse of Madiba, especially considering he was seen very close to the Nkuhuma lioness last night, so I'm glad he didn't get caught up in any trouble there. As you can see, these males, or at least one of them, is fast asleep. The other one is doing the same thing. You can't really see very well though, but Jandre can possibly attempt to give you a glimpse of the other male. You can just see a flat creamy color there, and there the dark mane is. So they're both fast asleep, and hopefully they're not going to be too far away from here this afternoon. And that excuse me, is really exciting prospects, isn't it? I can't wait to see what they get up to this evening, whether they vocalize again. We did hear them call at least once this morning when we were waking up at around 5:15, so there's a chance we may get to hear them calling tonight. And won't it be just so interesting to see which direction they're heading? Who knows, possibly they'll bump into some buffalo and we'll be able to see what their hunting skills are like. They do look quite hungry, so I think a meal is going to be on the cards for later on. Let's hope the weather holds. There's a bit of light drizzle coming down now, but we will certainly be doing our best to get out no matter what the circumstances are this evening, because with the prospects of these two males around and nobody knowing where the Birminghams are, where the Nkuhumas are, is certainly something that we want to be sure we get to see if any action does unfold between all these lions. A very big thank you for everyone who contributed to this morning's drive, the updates, the questions, the comments, and apologies if we didn't get around to yours. Well done to Nikki and Tara in the final control room, and thanks Jandre on camera. To Trent and Fiji, we managed to survive without having to use the machete, thankfully, but maybe we'll need to pull it out this evening. I'm only kidding. Anyway, have a good one, and we will see you all on the Sunset Safari.